It only takes one spark, one insight, one idea to create the exponential growth you desire. Welcome to the Growth Mode Podcast, where we share the strategies for your growth. Hey, welcome back to the Growth Mode Podcast. I have been away for a while. Jason was off in Europe. So this is the first time that I've been back. So I'm going to lay down some thoughts for my two partners here, and then hopefully it'll stimulate some conversation for you and your coach or the people that you're looking to grow with. So since I was last on the show, the rates have dropped, creating a 40% lift in refi applications in a short period of time. That's an interesting insight. Number two, new home sales in the month of August outsold resale. I don't know how many times it's done that, but I think it's a small number of times. So that's a very big deal. And I think for you, my listener, you would say, of course, Tom, they're offering so many incentives, rate buy downs, and more. It makes a ton of sense. And the other thing, there's actually two other interesting things. Compass's announcement to acquire all of the Anywhere brands coming off, remember, acquiring Christie's and Ad Properties. So now with Coldwell Banker Commercial, Corcoran Group, Anywhere Title and Escrow is also interesting. Better Homes and Gardens, Sotheby's, ERA, C21. You're now looking at 119 countries, call it 340,000 real estate professionals. That is interesting. But I know, Jason, you're going to want to talk about probably something that is a little more, let's just call it interesting also. I think Zuck's new move with, hey, in the comments, however you're listening to this, do you have a set of the Meta glasses? Were you like me, bought them, wore them twice, and said, I'm not going to be a creeper and walk into a social setting recording stuff. That's just weird. But now, Jason, do you see what they're doing? Now they're releasing in-glass text, AI search, and mapping. I want to know from my friend out there listening, if you suddenly wear a pair of glasses and let's just say they're a move or two away from making a phone call, from checking your email, now I can send a text and read a text. I can map and I can do an AI search without a device other than the glasses that I'm wearing, which could be prescriptive, and I'm seeing everything in lens. Does that mean the end of the iPhone? Just in the comments, you got to just give us some feedback. Let us know. I think that's a really, really interesting insight. But back to, fellas, what's happened since I got back. When I reached out to my old mentor, Jay Abraham, Jay reminded me that there is three ways to build any business. So 3 ways to grow any business, and there's 3 advanced ways. The 3 fundamental ways, and I think it's an important discussion for us today, is there's only 3 ways to grow any business. I don't care what founder I talk to. It's always the same thing. Number 1, how are you going to attract more clients at a reasonable acquisition cost, a reasonable CAC that doesn't break the bank, right? So how do I acquire more clients? That's number 1. So increase the number of clients. Number 2, increase the frequency of purchase or the number of referrals that I can generate. So for a lot of our listeners, as a residential real estate agent, you're like, oh, what? Increase the frequency? Yes, through channel partners, Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, Navy Federal. There's your local bank in your town could be one relationship that you establish that could be 15, 20, 30, 400, 200 transactions. That's number 2, increase the frequency of purchase and or the number of referrals. And then number 3, of course, he says, raise your price points or raise your fees. Now, Jason, you and I know as coaches, we spend a lot of our time with clients working on all 3 of those. Those are the 3 most basic ways, whether we're talking listing leads, AI Marketing Academy, Tom Ferry, or every real estate agent, every loan officer, every title escrow, etc. But the interesting one, thinking about what's just happened, he says the 3 most advanced ways to grow a business. Number 1 is you should launch a new product or a new service every 18 months. Launch a new product or a new service every 18 months. We're on the Growth Mode Podcast. We're talking about how do you grow your business? How do you grow your empire if you're not releasing a new product or a new service? But Tom, I'm a residential real estate agent. So you mean you couldn't offer, for example, a fix and flip business That would be the same thing. You could offer hey, I've got a relationship with this home warranty company that I'm now getting for all my customers. As an example, you open up your own insurance business, not a title insurance, but like insurance business. As an example, you create, I don't know, a new relocation company. There's a lot of different things that you can provide that you don't currently provide. You could have an investor division. So that's an example. But then he said the next one is you go after and you grow new markets. So we've certainly seen a lot of our clients do this, Jason, where they're like, my geographic farm is 5,000 houses. And then they wake up 5 years later and we've got them to 80,000 houses. They expanded their market, they expanded their footprint. And the last one, speaking of Compass, is you acquire competitors, right? Big ones and small ones, it doesn't make a difference. All these things, my friends, all these things are just about things that we can do to grow and to help our listeners grow. So with that said, before we jump into sort of the ideas and strategies, for my friend listening, I don't know if you were in the business in 2007, 8, 9, 10, but for many of us, those 3 years provided an incredible source of learning. We learned because we lost. We learned because we didn't pivot fast enough. We learned because we didn't make cost cuts fast enough. We learned because we kept trying to do it the same way over and over again and didn't realize that the entire world had shifted. So the buyer psychology, the seller psychology had shifted. And if we don't align ourselves with how customers think and believe, it doesn't matter how good your marketing is. You're not going to connect with them. You're not going to be their resource. So we learned so much from that. But fellas, I actually pulled out my notes, Jason, from 2011 when I said, okay, the global financial crisis is over, but it's not really over. There's a lot of people still licking their wounds. So we were looking at like, what are the things we're going to do? Because we know, if you're listening right now, you know that sitting here today after, call it like 40 months of a mortgage drought, which created a transaction drought, certainly in the US, and it certainly impacted our friends in Canada because of tariffs in the last year. We know that we're in this drought. We know that every drought ends in a recovery. I'm looking back at what did I do in 2011, 12, 13 before the incredible run of 2014 to 2019. When guys, I mean, I like 7x the size of my company. Like it was just a monster increase in business. And was it the market, or was it I was so squarely focused on what is the right growth mode we need to be in? Because a lot of my friends didn't capitalize on it. A lot of my friends didn't help as many people. So here's the question I have for the two of you. Whether we are in sort of metaphorically 2011 or 12, we know we're not in 13, Jimmy, when everybody took a listing and everybody made a sale, right? One of the marketplaces where there's almost no competition. Whatever segment of time we're in right now, we need to be thinking differently about the run that's ahead of us. So as I say that to you guys, and I haven't talked to you guys like to collectively forever, what goes through your mind when I say we're about to go on, whether it's the end of this year, 2026, the beginning of 2027, all that will go by that fast, and we'll be in it. What are the things I should be thinking about and doing today to get prepared? Thoughts, fellas?
Jimmy, you first.
Well, if you go back to 2010, 11, many agents who were able to survive and thrive during that time pivoted towards things like REOs. And so they adjusted their business strategy to meet the needs of the market. And I think one of the things we've talked about on the show before, Tom, is this idea that I would be taking this time right now to analyze the market. Jason can give you 1,000 different ways to do that with AI, but I would take this moment right now to analyze the market to find out where are the existing waves. You know, we've talked about this before. You do not want to be in a position to try to create a market when there already is one that exists that's already thriving. And so I think we have seen this massive shift in terms of what's selling versus what's not selling. And that's broken down by each individual market. And if our businesses and our marketing strategy and our sales strategy and our prospecting strategy has not adjusted, then it's not that we can't be successful. Of course we can. It just requires a lot more effort to produce the same results. So my mind immediately, when you frame it like that, Tom, my mind immediately goes, understand the market before you start your marketing. Really take this moment to go deep on this. And just as a quick aside before I pass the mic to Jason, you mentioned the Meta glasses. I just want to go on the record and say I can never wear the Meta glasses because you guys both know if I wear glasses, I look like Rachel Maddow. So you guys will never see me. You will never see me.
I think there's a
wear
warning label
the
on the
Meta
box
glasses.
for that. Yeah.
No matter
warning
how
label.
many features they add, Tom, it ain't happening. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Man, I think building on what you said about knowing the market that you're going to walk into, I'm thinking about, Tom, the advice you gave, and what really resonated with me that was one of the more advanced strategies for growth is I would call it productization, where you create a new market or a new product every 18 months. And that brought to mind recent research that 1000 Watt did, where they were asking the consumer in today's marketplace, how are you choosing a real estate professional, or what are your experiences or feelings about choosing a real estate professional?
Right.
And what they sort of concluded was they're really stressed out about it. Well, why are they so stressed out about choosing a real estate professional? And what it really boiled down to was they didn't understand how to differentiate an agent. They didn't really understand the scope of their services. And the conclusion, this came from 1000 Watt and their great research, was agents need to specialize in terms of having a menu of products or services so that the consumer can have a clearer, more transparent sense of how they can be serviced. I think we're really moving into a world where people are asking the most granular questions in the history of research online. I'm looking for an agent who does this or this or this or this. And so to me, the big play right now is if you can be the one to anticipate what does a buyer need if they're looking for luxury or if they're looking for investment or something very specific, and you can position yourself on the web so that AI search and all search finds you as the resource. I think we're in this marketplace of how do you learn to specialize your services in a way where the consumer's like, oh, you do this and you do this and you do this. This is sort of in line with it.
Are we like piggybacking on what we've been discussing the last couple of months, optimizing generative engine optimization versus search engine optimization?
I think it is.
Are we like
it
dovetailing
is
the blogging strategy?
Yeah, it is that. I mean, so for example, Google just sort of went full throttle with their new AI mode. And so AI mode is now built into, and it's been being rolled out, but it's now out and you can't miss it. So the AI mode button is in the search bar. The AI mode is up at the top tools where you can do like images, web, videos. Now there's one that says AI mode. And so AI mode is just becoming the forefront of all things search, and it is training people to ask the question they really want to ask. If you go back to a year ago or 2 years ago, we would search stuff, but we were trained to search broadly and then look at the results and then narrow down what we're looking for. AI is retraining us to just go, like just throw the ball all the way to the end zone. What's the real question you want to have answered, and let AI do all the reconnaissance for you to get you that answer.
So let me go back to, so if Jay's 3 advanced ways was go after and grow a new market, are you saying that maybe unlike in the past, when a client said to me, hey, I'm in Dallas and I want to open up an office in Austin, I might say to them, we should look to acquire Google leads, Realtor.com leads, Zillow leads, Redfin leads as an example. Now we might say, let's spend 30, 60, 90 days positioning your GEO. So when you go into that market, you're already getting fresh, low cost, low acquisition of new clients. Interesting.
Yeah. I there's a Goldilocks moment in time right now where, and this to me is what's interesting about AI search. And then I'll go back to the broader question you're asking. There's never been a time where the web was more impressionable than it is now. And what I mean by that is when you do an AI search, whether it's Perplexity or ChatGPT or Google's AI mode, the way that it gives you the answer, it sounds so authoritative. It sounds so comprehensive that it's really analyzed everything and said, you should buy this car, you should buy this watch, you should pick this real estate agent. And so the average person believes it to be 100% true, but what they don't know is that AI search is operating off of only publicly available information. It doesn't read reviews. We've talked about that on this podcast many times. It doesn't see certain private data that we might see to the naked eye when we're searching the web. And so what that means for your business is, man, all you have to do is write blogs, publish web pages, update your bio on your profiles, and specifically speak to the consumer you want to attract. There has never been a greater opportunity right now to, if you build it, they will come, your marketing, where state what you're attracting and who you're for, let them find you, let AI recommend you, and just start positioning yourself to win the influx of those opportunities. I'm not sure if that's making sense, guys. Am I saying that well enough?
It's a lot, and I want to transition to Jimmy, but first, just for my listener without any of Jason's comments, I want you to check out birdeye.ai. Birdeye.ai. It will scrape all your reviews, and then you can repost them as new, fresh content on your website.
Which you should.
And boy, is that a really good idea for SEO. All right, so Jimmy, I say focus on attracting clients with a lower, cost to acquire a client, CAC. Increase the frequency of purchase or referral, raise your price point or your fees, or launch new services every 18 months. Sounds like listing leads. Go after and grow new markets or acquire businesses. What say you for our listener?
Well, the acquisition one's super interesting. And I think there's the funny thing is the absolute worst time to sell is always the best time to buy.
Absolutely.
And so right now, right, we got Tom, let's be real. We got a lot of tired brokers out there, a lot of tired team leaders.
Yep.
And we got other people, as I love the old Barry Diller quote. I shared this with you a couple days ago around his description of Bill Gates. He says he's young, mean, and he's not tired. We have some people who are going to listen to this podcast right now who are not tired. And I think right now I would be on the offense. And, we obviously mentioned at the beginning of the pod and, Compass's acquisition of Anywhere. And, that was as much about positioning and about strategy as it was about just these two brands kind of coming together.
Yeah.
And the smart thing about that acquisition, in my opinion, was Compass was really now trying to position itself. Whether it's successful or not will be determined, but it's trying to position itself not as another real estate company that's bigger or smaller than these other companies, but rather as a direct competitor to Zillow. Because they look at Zillow and they say, well, Zillow's reached a $31 billion market cap, which is higher than any residential real estate company in the history of real estate. So we're going to try to position ourselves as not another insert your competitor, but rather a competitor to Zillow, which I think is very smart. So acquisitions is something I would be tackling. You have a lot of experiences, so I'm going to kick the mic back to you, but I would say, if I was in a position right now where I'm listening and my business is doing well, I've got good margins, I've been growing, I've been, doing well in this market, I would be looking to acquire teams under the right terms or brokerages on the right terms, immediately cut costs because they have their cost structures way out of whack, and then instantly put in place 2 or 3 plays that I know work because I've done it with different businesses to increase revenue. So in my mind, I'm saying, cut costs by 20 to 40%, and then insert 2 or 3 plays that can help me increase revenue 10 to 20%. All of a sudden, you've got a 50% sort of bump in performance. But I'd love to get your thoughts on this because I think you've been running to a lot of people who have been thinking about acquisition. So what say you as it relates to acquiring companies in this stage?
So I'll share with you a strategy that I found that hasn't worked as well as we would like. There's a large addressable market of real estate professionals that are at an age and at a financial situation where they don't really want to work anymore. And if you said to them, which many of my great clients have done, hey, Jason, I would love to have you join our team and be a part of our thing and, put you in a position where one day you can retire. Whatever that language is, it just really has fallen flat. What has been successful is, hey, Jason, I would like to acquire your business and create an earn-out structure for you so you can be in a position to continue to maintain getting checks regardless of you showing houses or going on appointments. Is that something you'd be interested in? Now, that offer I have found to be far more effective. And look, you're probably not going to go to your biggest Tim Smith is not going to call Georgina Jacobs. Shout out to 2 friends of mine that are in Newport Beach, California. Timmy with 18 people on his team and Georgina with 5, right? Georgina does $150 million in sales. She's not going to fold in. And he's not going to want to write a check that would be worthwhile enough for her to make a move. But I will give you an example without saying names. One of my clients, without giving any details, little family business, has a geographic farm of about 11,000 houses, does an unbelievable job, $100 million a year, millions of dollars in commissions. They do fantastic. They had another competitor in their marketplace who was the same age as the mother of the team that I'm working with. They went to her and said, at a certain point, one of us is going to want to retire, right? Because I have 2 kids in the business that are, 30, it's probably not going to be me. Have you had any thoughts? Just, friend to friend, not competing. But this woman was basically in one farm of the multiple farms that this team was working. long story short, over the course of a year, they negotiated a deal to buy out her business. And then I want to say, without giving away too many details, the deal structure was like, if you can maintain X number of transactions, we will pay you, even though we do all the work, the lion's share as we co-market together in that farm. And I think that lasted about 2 years, where she got fully optimized profitability on transactions while the team was doing all the work, which at times made the team go, oh, we're doing all the work, we're not getting all the money. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what you did? You just bought your number 2 competitor in this farm, and you have her phone number, her likeness, her website, all that stuff now comes to you. Well, now fast forward, regardless of the drought that we're in, it's an extra 25 to 35 transactions every single year for them without any more referral fees. I'll give you another example. Another one of my clients, I love this conversation because it's creative financing, it's creative ways to do business, and it also extends the longevity sometimes of these other great agents and their brand. And most of them, let's be clear, if you're listening to this, you're actually thinking about this. Most of these agents you're talking to, you're going to say, well, hey, I use, Sync, or I use, Follow Up Boss. And they're going to be like, I have a yellow notepad and a Christmas card list. Like, they don't have a database. So, they're going to be embarrassed by this stuff. So you're going to have to help them do all those things, right? But with that said, one of my clients, she wanted to go from the low end to the high end. The low end to the high end. That was the strategy. She is still a client today. She's been a client for like 20 years. She identified who were the players in the high end that were doing okay but weren't doing great. They weren't, Jason, lots of your clients that were just the absolute monsters in the marketplace. But this gal always, sold like 18, 19, 20 transactions a year, which, in her respective price point, it was a good business, but there was monster teams above her and super luxury agents above her. We went to her with an offer. We'd like to buy your business, and here's how it's going to work. We'll do all the work, pay for everything, and absorb your team, like your assistant, your transaction coordinator, your marketing person, and you get 80, we get 20 year one. We get, then it was like 70-30, then it was 60-40, and then and we reversed it over time. Well, what it did is it was the lowest cost way for her to go into the high-end marketplace, where now she is the dominant agent and team in her area. So I gave you 3 different ways that people are doing it, and one way that doesn't seem to be working. But when you look at sort of the lifetime value of a real estate agent's brand, you could extend the brand and you can strengthen your brand by bringing on some of these people that are probably most likely checking out, if that makes sense.
Well, let me just recap real quick, because I know we're going to run out of time on today's Growth Mode podcast, but I will say this, a couple of things I wrote down, Tom. Number 1, a firm offer, not a soft ask, right? You're going like, hey, listen, we want to make this decision. So you give someone an opportunity to just like adjust. Number 2, I think the mindset is, if you're going to do this, my takeaway was you've got to have a 3 to 5 year time horizon. If your goal is to buy a business and make money in the first 12 months, you're probably wasting everyone's time. Number 3, you do a buy versus build analysis. Which is what you were doing, which is saying, hey, listen, how much is it going to really cost us to get into this market, into this price point over the course of, 3 years, 5 years? Maybe that's close to $800,000 in marketing or whatever it might look like, people, personnel, staff, advertising. And if you can compress time, that's a big win. But the other X factor, and I want you to react to this, is would you say it would make sense if you were to do this analysis to find agents who we would call sort of the fading winners, where maybe their business over the last 3 to 5 years is still respectable, but it's down from the peak 50%. It's like, if we were to sort of develop an ICP for this, is that who you're thinking about?
And I would go, shout out to my friends at F&F and all the other great title companies in the U.S. I would go to my title exec and I would say, let's do an analysis of the last decade. I want you to show me, the top 500 agents in the marketplace and how their performance has trickled over time. Some have obviously escalated, but many have trickled. And that's how I'd create my target list. It'd be very exact. And the title companies can give you all that data. I love that
that's
idea.
Brilliant.
I love it. I love it, especially because here's the truth. Maxine Gellens is 87 years old and she's out on listing appointments every single week. So it's not an age thing. It's are you tired? Right? You're looking for the ones that are tired, but what they have is brand equity, right? It's not like, Okay, I'm so pissed. I threw away some stuff in my office today in Dallas. One of the things I threw away was the banjo fishing lure. So my buddy Ken Carey, who's a brilliant entrepreneur, incredible infomercial specialist, called me and said, "Hey, we should buy this company." And then for whatever reason, I screwed up and didn't follow up on it. So he bought the banjo fishing lure, IP rights, all the product, blah blah blah, Jason, for pennies. And today, with just a little bit of Facebook advertising, it's doing like $5 million a year with like an 85% gross margin.
It's amazing.
Right? So the example is banjo fishing lure was hot in the 80s and 90s, and then it wasn't. And he took something that used to be hot and he brought it back to life with very low cost to acquire it. So we're talking about banjo fishing lure is, Phil and Patty Smith, who've been selling real estate in your marketplace for, 35, 40 years, and their kids aren't involved in the business. They're aging out. They're becoming less relevant. You could help them create more revenue, long-term. And what you pick up is an enormous opportunity of database and brand credibility.
Tom, let me jump in really fast on top of your point and Jimmy's point. Jimmy, you brought up the idea of you should do some research, last 10 years of data performance, how are they doing? And you could get that from Title Friends and so forth. I think you could also double down and you could use a tool like Comet, their agentic web browser, and say, here's the list of agents. What I want you to do is go analyze them and then report your findings back in this spreadsheet. I want you to go analyze when was the last time they posted on Instagram? When was the last time they updated their profile on this website? When was the last time they did this, and look for the agents who are struggling to keep their head above water in terms of the massive demands of keeping up with marketing, because they are going to massively see your value proposition in terms of what would it be like if you could align your brand with this group so that you could be positioned as the absolute agent of choice with the people who already know, like, and trust you. So Tom, I love the idea of, and this is maybe to the broker owners, this is maybe to the team leaders, but you're looking for who are the opportunistic folks to acquire their business who need what I can give to them. It reminds me, Tom, of your old framework that you talked about years and years ago, which was there's 3 kinds of agents: artists, entrepreneurs, and operators. And if you're an operator right now, the world we're operating in is a playground of, I think, you looking for people you can align with and do more together better.
Bingo. So for my friend listening or watching, we lost Jimmy. He had a webinar he was doing for listing leads. So we lost him there. Jimmy, when you're listening to this later, I want to say publicly, I think I'm going to give Jason $25 every time he mentions Comet by Perplexity, because I'm an investor. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. All right. I do agree. Comet, can we talk about this just for a second? I mean, this is not like, okay, for my friend listening, it's like a $20 billion market cap. I'm not that much of an investor. I'm just happy to be in the deal, right? A couple $100,000. So tell the listener, in your opinion, why would they switch from, say, Google and how you search on Google or using Google Chrome versus Comet? And then I think we need to talk about Bing Places and why every single person needs to get their Bing Places profile set up, since ChatGPT has a financial relationship with the company that owns Bing Places. So 2-part question.
Yep.
Why Comet versus, sitting on Chrome? What's your take?
So first, backstory. Perplexity is the leader in terms of agentic AI search. And when we talk about GEO or generative engine optimization, Perplexity started it. People are searching AI. Anyways, Perplexity AI, created by a guy who used to work at Google, who saw a future that they didn't see. So he left and did it himself, and they are just massively disruptive, and it's a really, really, really good AI company. They launched it's a Chromium-based web browser. What that means is it is built on Chrome, but so I can automatically import all of my profiles, all my logins, all my passwords. I can literally download it and turn it on lickety-split. What's unique about it, though, is it has these agentic AI features built into it. And the one that is most interesting is what they call the assistant. And so I can go to any website and I can just type in the little side chat. I'm chatting with the browser. So think about when you're chatting with ChatGPT. Imagine if you were chatting with Google Chrome and saying, hey, take control of my web browser, and I want you to do this, 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 and this, and then go to this website and do that. And it can literally just take the reins, almost like remote desktop, and do it for you. And what's crazy is whatever website you're logged into, your Instagram, your social media, your bank, be careful, whatever you're logged into, it can access those websites and then take actions on your behalf. You could ask it to go search Amazon for throw pillows or Target and then make purchases. So it can completely control your machine. So the reason I would switch, and I did switch from Chrome to Comet, is because I get all the Chrome because it's a Chromium-based web browser, but it can control everything on my browser. And so I was giving it a task earlier today. I said, hey, here's a Google Sheet. It's blank. I want you to connect this source, this source, this source, this source, make it do this and that. And then I just left, and it can work for me doing things on my behalf. And so the imagination I had in the scenario I presented a second ago was, let's say you're a team that you want to acquire some other businesses, or you're a broker owner and you want to acquire some other businesses. I would literally feed it, here's my list of agents on a Google Sheet. I want you to go do reconnaissance on them, check out their Instagram, check out their profiles, check out their SEO, and then report back, we're the ones who would most benefit for me. But man, Tom, it's more than that. I could literally say, I don't know how to run Facebook ads. Here's my new listing. This is the web page on my website. Could you go run an ad for me? And you can watch it take control of your browser and go do all the stuff. I don't know how to create Zapier automations. Could you do it for me? One that does this and that, and it will literally do it for you. It is, in my opinion, one of the greatest leveling of playing field AI solutions to hit the market this year. It's Comet.
Yes. I love it. 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 And I did pass on the second investment, which I get angrier and angrier.
Sorry, Tom.
As you tell me that.
Sorry.
Okay, but the second part of that question. So one is, Perplexity and
Bing Places.
Right. Bing Places. So I was thinking about, all right, Microsoft owns Bing. No one goes to Bing, but there's still a play there. DuckDuckGo. There's still some weird search happening on DuckDuckGo. Would it make sense? And so I'm looking for your professional opinion here. If I'm an avid ChatGPT user and I find that most of the people I talk to are on ChatGPT, should I not have a Bing Places account?
You should. And so it's funny, like this is a little old school. We were talking about Bing Places years ago because for the average person using a PC, Edge is their default browser and Bing Places and Bing is their default search. And so Bing Places has a place, no pun intended, in terms of your online profiles. What you're going to run into in terms of limitations is ChatGPT has, it's not just ChatGPT, it's Grok, it's Perplexity, it's even Google's own AI overview. There are certain types of information they cannot access. So for example, they can't really see a Bing Places profile or a Google business profile directly in chat because a lot of that information is gated, but, and this is where I think your point is interesting. You might have noticed this, and it doesn't happen all the time, but if you do a search inside of ChatGPT, like who's the best realtor in Fort Worth, Texas, or something like that, not in every single chat, but every now and again, you'll notice in your chat, there's these maps that start to show up with actual business listings. Bingo. That relationship is actually, what the glue that connects a lot of these profiles, and I'm trying to find words to articulate this. It's actually not Bing. It's actually not Apple. It's actually not Google. It's Yelp. So Yelp reviews, for example, if you were talking to Siri and you ask it, who's the best pizza nearby or something like that, and it shows you the map, all the reviews are actually coming in from Yelp. And so Yelp feeds also into Bing Places. So Yelp is actually one of the great connections. So I would say to the user, if I was going to try to bring this home and give some practical advice, is you need to continue to improve your presence on platforms like Yelp, because that also improves your positioning with like Bing Places and some others, and it also improves your positioning in ChatGPT-based searches. And so I think what it really boils down to is it's like a game of billiards. You're going to hit the cue ball. What's the cue ball? In this case, Yelp has a lot. Does that make sense, Tom? Yelp.
100%. Yelp is always on my list. I've got about 60 different profiles that if I'm standing in front of an audience, I say, you need to get a profile on all of these. And then I remind them things like, as much as you might not like Yelp or you might not like Reddit, Reddit seems to be, when it comes to Grok, right, X.AI, seems to be one of the sources of truth that they pull from. So why would you not have a Reddit profile? Why would you not have a Quora profile? You should have a profile on every possible place if you're a real estate professional. You want to know the Reddit hack? You want to be searched. Like, put as many Easter eggs out there as possible for the kids to find.
You want to know the Reddit hack, Tom?
Give it to me.
Okay, so Reddit is almost like an admission from ChatGPT that they can't read reviews. And let me back what I mean. What it is.
I love that.
So if you run searches in ChatGPT or in Perplexity or in Grok or any other AI, and you say, who's the best realtor in Nashville, Tennessee, or wherever you do any kind of a search like that, who should I work with if I'm buying luxury real estate in Nashville, Tennessee? Whatever question you ask the AI, you have to pay attention to what are the websites that I over and over and over again, it seems to go to the same websites. Because what's happening is the AI does not intuitively, inherently know the answer. You're asking it to go do the search for you. It's going to scrape the web. It's going to look at what information it can find, bring it back to you, and then it's going to synthesize the answer in the chat and sound very like all buttoned up and put together. But you're going to pay, if you're smart, you're going to pay attention to what are the websites it keeps going to again and again and again and again. And you're going to see Reddit again and again and again and again, especially with ChatGPT. Why? Well, because all the other sites that it goes to generally are considered lists. Top 10, top 20. They're structured. Yeah, they're structured content, except for one, and it's Reddit. Which means Reddit is offering sort of the other side of the coin. It's the consumer's perspective. Now, what's interesting is when you follow the links on Reddit, it does ChatGPT. None of them actually look at the actual post. They only look at the comments. They're analyzing the Reddit comments. So what we've seen is a lot of agents are starting to repurpose their blogs as Reddit posts. Yeah. Which is good in theory, but it's not actually doing anything for them unless they can operationalize their own database commenting, so-and-so is the best realtor in Dallas, Texas. If you can get your people to get in on the comments on Reddit, you just got yourself a genie pass to the front of the line in AI search.
So just because someone's going to think it and I'll say it, well, why not just hire some bots out of India and others to write comments for me?
You assume, I think, that Reddit isn't more capable of detecting that kind of behavior than it is. Reddit's no stranger. They've got a lot of AI powering them too. They're not a small operation.
I know. I'm just letting the person know from you that you can't just hack it.
I know. You teed me up for that. Thank you. Yeah. No, you can't. But it's like, but this is the power of having an audience. In the same way that you would ask your clients to go vote for you on some local publication for top realtors in the area, why not start saying, hey, could you jump in on this forum inside of Reddit and start throwing my name in the hat? Mm-hmm. And then, my gosh, that's as good, if not better right now than getting reviews. Just a thought.
Right. I love it. I love it. All right. So we talked about the 3 most common ways to grow a business. We talked about the 3 advanced ways to grow the business. And what I would say to my friend listening right now, no shortage of ideas. But as we go into the 4th quarter, Jason and I as coaches, we call this separation season. This is the time when some of us do what we should do. And this is just a little coaching from, friend to friend. Open up your calendar. Look at the days you want to take off. Do you want to take, Christmas off, Hanukkah, part of this, part of that, part of Thanksgiving, by anniversary, whatever it is, all these things. Because what happens is people start to get in this mindset like, well, it's the holiday season and, things slow down anyway. And man, that is a slippery slope because what that does is it ensures less revenue, less income, and a horrific start to a new year. So my advice to you, my friend, is take your calendar out, figure out all the days you're going to take off, figure out the days you're going to go shopping, figure out the days you're going to go do the pumpkin patch, figure out the days that you're going to do, 3 days of Halloween because that's just who you are.